Have you ever helped someone without knowing they could change your entire life? That's exactly what happened to José Jiménez, an ordinary man who stopped to help a stranger fix a flat tire on a rainy morning, never imagining that this simple act of kindness would decide his own destiny. Hours later, inside a crowded courtroom, he stood accused of a crime he didn't commit. And the woman whose car he had fixed, she wasn't just anyone. She was Judge Alejandra Fernandez, the very person who would hold his freedom in her hands. What followed was a battle between truth and corruption, between a man's integrity and a system designed to break it. But sometimes, the truth doesn't need power. It only needs one honest heart to believe in it. This is not just a story about justice. It's a story about how one act of kindness can rewrite fate itself. Have you ever helped someone, not knowing that one day, that same person would hold your destiny in their hands? It was supposed to be an ordinary morning. Gray clouds, a restless city, and a man named José Jiménez running late for the most important day of his life. He wasn't a criminal. He wasn't a hero either. He was just someone trying to clear his name. A technician accused of a crime he didn't commit, heading to court to prove his innocence, alone, exhausted, and one bad break away from losing everything. The traffic was merciless. Rain hit the windshield in uneven drops, as if the sky itself wanted to delay him. He checked the time again, 30 minutes until his hearing began. That's when he saw her. A woman in a navy suit stood by the roadside, kneeling beside a silver sedan with a flat tire. Her hands were trembling, her voice barely holding together. "Please," she called out, "can someone help me?" Cars rushed by, horns blaring, faces hidden behind tinted glass. No one stopped. José slowed down. For a second, logic whispered, "Keep driving. You'll be late. They'll arrest you." But something in her voice, desperation maybe, made him pull over. He stepped out into the rain. "Are you okay, ma'am?" She looked up, startled but relieved. "Oh, thank God. I have a hearing in less than an hour. I can't be late." He smiled faintly. "That makes two of us. Let's see what we can do." The tire was stubborn. The wrench slipped twice. Rainwater turned the pavement slick, but José worked in silence, determined, his clothes soaked through. She tried to help, but her manicured hands shook too much. "I'm really sorry," she said, embarrassed. He chuckled softly. "Don't worry. Tires don't care who you are. They just need fixing." In 15 minutes, it was done. He wiped his hands on his shirt, smudged with mud and oil. She handed him a handkerchief from her purse. "I'll never forget this," she said, her tone formal, almost commanding, like someone used to authority. He shrugged. "It's just a tire, ma'am." Then she added something that would haunt him later. "I'm heading to the criminal court. Park the car right outside for me. And remember, I'm a judge. Nothing can happen to my car." Her words froze him. For a moment, he just stared. A judge? He almost laughed. What were the odds? "Yes, Your Honor," he said finally, half joking, half in awe. "Don't worry. I'll take care of it." "Leave the key with the guard," she replied, rushing to a waiting taxi. "Thank you again." And just like that, she was gone, disappearing into the blur of rain and traffic. José stood there for a moment, watching the car that wasn't his, holding keys that didn't belong to him, wondering if helping a stranger had just cost him his chance at freedom. When he finally parked the vehicle by the courthouse, a traffic officer waved him down. "Sir, you can't park there." "I'm just leaving right now," José said quickly, searching for the registration papers. "License and registration, please." "I'm just helping someone from the Department of Justice," he tried to explain. The officer narrowed his eyes, radio in hand. "Let's confirm that, shall we? Plate number PDF 5253. A long silence. Then, "Registered to Judge Alejandra Fernandez." José exhaled in relief. "See, I told you, I'm just doing her a favor." The officer smirked, handing him a ticket. "For parking incorrectly, $60. José's stomach sank. He didn't even have $60. As the officer walked away, José glanced at the courthouse clock. 10 minutes late. He sprinted toward the entrance, rain dripping from his sleeves, ticket still in his pocket. He had no idea that inside that building, waiting behind a polished wooden bench, was the very woman whose car he had just fixed, the woman who held his future and his freedom in her hands. The courthouse felt colder than the rain outside. Marble floors, echoing footsteps, eyes that didn't look at you but through you. José pushed open the heavy wooden doors, his shirt still damp. The parking ticket folded in his trembling hand. Inside, everyone was already seated. The prosecutor stood tall, whispering confidently to his client. The clerk glanced at the clock and muttered something under her breath. José could feel the weight of judgment before a single word was spoken. He tried to steady his breathing. "I'm sorry for the delay, Your Honor," he said softly. "I had a setback." A voice from the bench cut through the murmurs. "Convenient, isn't it?" the prosecutor sneered. "You probably needed time to rehearse your lies." Laughter rippled across the room. The judge's gavel hit once, sharp, commanding. Silence in the courtroom. Her tone was firm, composed, but something about it felt familiar. That warmth, that authority. José lifted his eyes for the first time and froze. There she was. The woman from the roadside, the one he'd helped, soaked and smiling only hours ago. Now she sat above him. Black robe, steel posture, eyes that held the power to decide his fate. For a second, she blinked, surprise flickering across her face. Then it vanished behind professionalism. "Mr. Jiménez," she said, steady and formal, "this court will continue. Proceed." He swallowed hard. It couldn't be real. Of all the judges in the city, it had to be her. The prosecutor began. "Your Honor, the evidence is clear. The defendant, José Jiménez, was responsible for the disappearance of a company laptop containing confidential files. The losses exceed $500. He has no witnesses, no proof, and no explanation." José clenched his fists. "That's not true," he said quietly. "I fixed that computer and left it in the office exactly where it belonged. Someone else took it." The lawyer scoffed. "Oh, please. Every thief says the same thing." The judge turned to José. "Do you have any evidence to support your version?" He hesitated. "Yes, Your Honor. I recorded a video of a colleague entering the office after hours, but He stopped. "I lost the flash drive. This morning." The courtroom erupted again. Laughter, sighs, murmurs. The prosecutor smirked. "How convenient. Lost, just like the laptop?" José's face flushed red. He wanted to scream that it was true, that he dropped it while changing her tire. But who would believe that? Who would believe a man accused of theft had stopped to help the very judge now sitting before him? The judge tapped her pen, thinking. Her voice softened, almost imperceptibly. "Mr. Jiménez, please explain where this evidence was last seen." He looked down. "I kept it in my pocket. I must have dropped it outside." Another wave of whispers filled the room. The opposing attorney stepped forward. "Your Honor, this is an insult to the court. He's making up stories to buy time." "Enough," she said, her gaze cutting through the noise. "This court will take a 30-minute recess. Mr. Jiménez, you have that time to retrieve your missing evidence." José's heart pounded. A small window of hope, or a countdown to disaster. As the judge stood, she looked at him again. Her eyes held something he didn't expect. Not pity, not superiority, but doubt. The kind that lives between rules and conscience. Outside, as everyone dispersed, the prosecutor whispered to his team, "Don't worry, he's finished. He'll come back empty-handed. and we'll make him look like a desperate liar." They laughed quietly, adjusting their ties. Power always sounded like certainty. Meanwhile, José ran through the parking lot, scanning the puddles, searching under cars, on the sidewalk, by the curb. Nothing. He crouched, soaked again, breathing heavily, praying under his breath. Please, let there be justice. Just once. He almost gave up, and then, glinting under the tire of a parked car, he saw it. The small flash drive, covered in dirt but still intact. He picked it up carefully, clutching it as if it were his heartbeat. Inside the courthouse, 30 minutes later, everyone had returned. The tension was thicker now, the kind that made silence heavy. The judge entered. "All rise." José stood tall this time. The flash drive rested in his hand like a miracle. "Mr. Jiménez," she said. "Do you have the evidence you mentioned?" "Yes, Your Honor, I found it." "Where?" "Right where I changed your tire," he said quietly. A ripple of confusion crossed her face, then a faint understanding. The irony hit her too. The prosecutor rolled his eyes. Another coincidence. What next? A ghost confession? The judge's gavel hit again. "Order. We will see the contents of this video before making assumptions. In my court, truth doesn't need theatrics. It needs proof." As she spoke, her gaze lingered on José, not as a stranger anymore, but as a man whose kindness might have just saved him. The courtroom was silent. You could hear the hum of the lights above, the faint rustle of papers, and the nervous tapping of the prosecutor's pen. Every eye was on José, the man who came back soaked, breathless, holding a small flash drive like it was the last piece of hope in the world. The judge leaned forward. "Mr. Jiménez, are you certain this is the same device you mentioned earlier?" "Yes, Your Honor," he said firmly. "It's the same one. It contains the truth." The prosecutor crossed his arms, unimpressed. "Or maybe another performance, Your Honor. He's had plenty of time to create whatever story he wants." The judge turned her gaze toward him, calm, steady, unyielding. "This court will evaluate the content of the evidence, not your assumptions. Play the video." The clerk inserted the drive. For a moment, the screen flickered. Then, grainy footage appeared. The timestamp showed midnight. A woman in office attire, heels clicking on the tile, entered the company building. She looked around nervously. It was Damaris, the assistant who had testified against José. The entire courtroom held its breath. She walked directly to the technician's workstation, picked up a computer, and disappeared out of frame. Gasps filled the room. The sound of truth, quiet but deafening. The prosecutor shot up from his chair. "This video proves nothing. We can't even verify when or where it was recorded." "Silence," the judge said firmly. "The image is clear enough, and we will verify its authenticity. Until then, Mr. Jiménez is no longer under accusation." A murmur of relief swept through the courtroom. José's shoulders dropped, his eyes glassy with gratitude. The judge wasn't smiling, but her voice softened. "For now, any charges against the defendant are annulled. A new investigation will begin into potential perjury and evidence tampering." The gavel struck once, echoing like thunder. Court was adjourned. Outside the courtroom, tension exploded behind closed doors. The prosecutor's team huddled, their voices low and panicked. "This wasn't part of the plan," one hissed. "If he really had that video, we're finished." "He recorded it without anyone noticing," another said. "There's no way to know how much it shows." "Then we hold out," the lawyer said coldly. "If we discredit him fast enough, the video won't matter." They didn't realize justice already had momentum. Later that day, as José packed his belongings, he saw the judge walking toward him in the hallway. Black robe gone, now just a woman again. "You really found it," she said quietly. "I did," he replied. right where you left your tire." She smiled faintly, an irony not lost on either of them. "It seems we both had our trials today, Mr. Jimenez." He nodded. "Yours in the courtroom, mine on the roadside." The air between them was calm now, not the tension of accusation, but the quiet of understanding. "Do you believe I'm innocent?" he asked. She didn't answer right away. "I believe justice speaks through evidence," she said softly. Then, after a pause, "But my heart says you are." José's eyes glimmered with something new, not victory, but faith restored. Maybe for the first time the system had seen him, the man, not the mistake. As she walked away, he whispered, "Thank you, Your Honor, for believing that truth still matters." She turned slightly. "It wasn't blind faith," she said. "It was proof." In that single moment, two strangers who had met by chance, a man accused, a judge rushing to court, had both learned the same lesson. Kindness never goes unnoticed. It simply takes time for the truth to catch up. The next morning, the courthouse was quieter. No murmurs, no accusations, just the echo of heels against marble and the weight of what truth had revealed. The verdict was clear. José Jimenez was innocent. The lies that had nearly destroyed him were now locked behind cold bars. The courtroom that once felt like a cage had become the place that set him free. The judge entered slowly, robes flowing like calm waves. "Mr. Jimenez," she said, "this court declares you innocent of all charges." José stood, the same man, but lighter now, as if the world had returned what it took away. "Thank you," he whispered, "for believing in me." She met his eyes. "It wasn't blind faith," she said gently. "It was evidence, but I'm glad I wasn't wrong about your heart." A rare smile crossed her face. It wasn't the smile of authority. It was human, the kind that forgives the world a little for being unfair. He reached into his pocket and held up the small flash drive, the very one that had turned justice around. "I found it," he said quietly, "in your car, the same day I changed your tire." Her expression softened. "Then I suppose we've both been driving toward the same thing, truth." They shook hands. It wasn't a victory handshake. It was something gentler, an unspoken agreement that kindness, no matter how small, has power. Weeks passed. The scandal made headlines. Justice had prevailed. But something inside José remained unsettled, not in a bad way, but in that quiet ache that follows deep gratitude. One afternoon, he found himself back near the courthouse, not as a defendant this time, just as a man who wanted closure. She was there, Judge Alejandra Fernandez. No robe now, just a woman at a cafe table, reading, smiling faintly, a cup of coffee untouched beside her. He hesitated, then approached. "Hello, Your Honor." She looked up, startled, then smiled. "Mr. Jimenez, you surprised me." "I was just passing by," he said, wondering if, maybe, the court needed a mechanic. She laughed softly, the kind of laugh that melts away distance. "Everything is fine, thank you, but I think I still owe you a tire." He chuckled. "Or maybe a coffee?" She raised an eyebrow. "Coffee sounds fair." As they sat down, the sun stretched across the plaza. The same plaza where he'd once run in panic, late, soaked, accused. Now he sat there free, calm, and smiling. He leaned forward slightly. "Be honest," he said. "When your heart saw me that first day, did it think I was guilty? Or innocent?" Her gaze softened. "Innocent," she said. "Why?" "I don't know," she replied. "Some things the heart just knows." A moment of silence followed, then laughter, then peace. He helped a stranger, and unknowingly saved himself. Life has a strange way of circling back. When you act with kindness, the universe keeps your receipt. You never know whose path you're crossing. a stranger, a savior, or someone sent to remind you that justice and humanity are meant to walk hand in hand. Expert checklist, 30 seconds of life. Wisdom, your channel signature. 3 lessons from this story. 1. Never underestimate small kindness. The person you help today might hold your future tomorrow. 2. Separate truth from noise. Evidence clears your name, but character earns respect. 3. Power doesn't define justice. Integrity does. Stay honest, even when no one's watching. That's when destiny listens. In the end, José didn't just win his case, he reclaimed his faith in people. The same hands that fixed a stranger's tire ended up holding the truth that saved his life. And the same woman who once had the power to condemn him chose instead to listen to her heart. Because justice isn't just written in laws, it's written in the small moments when we choose to do what's right, even when no one's watching. So the next time you see someone in need, remember José, the man who helped a stranger and unknowingly helped his own destiny find its way back to him. Kindness doesn't always echo immediately. Sometimes it waits until the perfect moment to return. Moral of the story: power can decide a verdict, but only compassion decides who we truly are. If this story touched your heart, share it with someone who needs a little faith in humanity again. And tell us in the comments, have you ever helped someone not knowing it would change your life? The truth always finds its way, even if it starts with a flat tire.